Craziest prison escape of all time.
July 1st, 2018, 9:20 a.m. A high-security prison south of Paris, one of the largest, most modern, and most secure detention centers in France. Hundreds of guards, massive 17-foot walls lined with...
Y'all think you could escape prison? I feel like it depends what prison you're in. Like how high security it is. Some of them, it's like, you just got to be on the courtyard and jump a fence. But other ones, it's way harder. Probably not. I feel like you got to have endless amount. Obviously, when you're in prison, you have a shitload of time. But most big prison escapes, at least that I've seen, because I always used to watch, like, Almost Got Away with It and random shows like that in Discovery. And most big prison escapes where they're not just jumping a fence and they, like, dig a hole in their wall or, like, have to figure out how to get specific keys from guards and open doors and then run out. And they, like, plan that shit. It takes years, like 2-3 years to even fully be able to get out, to run that. That's all cap. That's not cap. A lot of prison escapes take a very long amount of time. I'm assuming this one has to be one of them. If this is a high max security prison.
With barbed wire.
Yo, great movie. Great movie. Shout out right now. What's the one with Arnold and the guy from Rocky? And they escape prisons as a living. Is it just literally Prison Break? Expendables? No. It's like they have to like run out of... They have to escape prisons. Escape Plan. That is a great fucking film, bro. It's about these two guys. And that's like Arnold. I think like Arnold and what's his face? Sylvester Stallone. A lot of the time play like really annoying roles. But this is a really good fucking movie. He's like, and it has Dave Bautista. And is that 50 Cent? I think that's 50 Cent. This might be the second one. But basically his job is like, prisons pay him to like go to their prison and try to escape to see how they could like fix their security. And at some point there's like a guy that runs a prison that really doesn't like him. And he's like, yeah, I'll pay you. My prison's unbreakable. And tries to like keep him there forever. And it's like really hard for him to get out. And that's like the whole process of the film.
And armored doors.
All right, lock in.
The courtyards are covered with anti-helicopter netting. On all 4 watchtowers, snipers with assault rifles stand at the ready. In solitary confinement cell
For 24 hours a day, they just have snipers on roofs.
207, inmate number 0010189 waits to be escorted to a visiting room. He is the most heavily guarded prisoner in the country. He was involved in at least 30 robberies, some including hostages, one involving a cash in transit heist that led to the death of a police officer. Twice, he slipped away from the police right at the scene of the crime. And 5 years ago, in 2013, he pulled off a spectacular escape from another high-security
he's already been out, so now they're just watching him.
Prison, using a smuggled gun and explosives to blast his way out.
How you smuggle a gun into a prison? That ain't no keister job. You ain't fitting a Glock up your butt. That's an awkward object. How do you get that in pieces? They assemble the gun on the inside. You smuggle in a barrel.
2 guards unlock his cell to pat him down. They do find something suspicious, but it's just a pack of gum. The guards like him, despite his staggering record of high-stakes crimes. He's easygoing, funny, and likable. It's almost like he's perfectly comfortable here, behind bars. 20 miles away, 65-year-old flight instructor Stefan Bay welcomes 2 new students, Frédéric and Julien, father and son. They're both hyped for their flight. They say they just want to tag along and watch him fly, not pilot.
Oh, they're going to knock this old ass out. They're going to knock him the fuck out, fly that plane over.
Themselves. But they do request it to be on board the Alouette 2.
Your asshole can take five or 4 raccoons. You could fit a Glock up there. What are you talking about?
Vintage collector's model from the 1950s. The pair have been marveling at it because it just looks so pretty. Something feels sketchy. Stefan will later recall that he thought they were wearing wigs. But hey, money is money, right? They pay 500 euros in cash up front. Back in jail, the prisoner is escorted to the visitors block for high-risk inmates. It's situated as far away from the prison entrance as possible. Prison management has been on edge for a while, noticing a change in the inmate's behavior. He's received more visits and seemed to be sending coded messages during phone calls. His casual vibe with the guards could be a tactic to extract useful intel. A couple of days ago, a drone was spotted scouting the facility from above. Stefan is waiting for his students on an open field. He has landed on the clearing because they said they needed to stop to pee. They stepped out and disappeared behind some trees. When they return, they're armed. They claim to know his family and his home address. They say they have been watching him.
They stashed AKs in a bush, so when he landed for them to pee, they would shoot him and rob his helicopter. This is a very meticulously planned prison escape. And I never understand that either, because are there people, like maybe this is just not talked about, are there people that escape prison that get away forever, like recently? Because anytime they come out with like an elaborate plan, they end up getting put back in prison like 3 years later. Like, they don't escape forever.
Him for months, and that their accomplices are waiting at his house as they speak. If he doesn't do exactly as they say, his family dies. They'll tell him where to fly next. On the visitor side of booth number 50, the inmate's older brother is waiting to see his sibling. He has no idea that his little brother is about to pull off the most spectacular prison break in French history.
God, I like the intro here, Fern. This is new. I'm liking this. I feel like I'm watching a film. I feel like I'm watching a movie. This is cinema. What the fuck?
The prisoner.
Do you think this is genuinely described as the greatest prison escape of all time, or do you think that this is what Fern would say the greatest prison escape of all time is? Because didn't Pablo Escobar... Who's the guy? Is that Pablo Escobar? Who's the dude that's in prison in, like, fucking Idaho right now? Not Pablo Escobar. Who is that guy? El Chapo. Didn't El Chapo dig, like, a 5-mile hole, and they hooked up, like, fucking train tracks to it or some shit underground, and they like rented a property. El Chapo's escaped from prison like 4 times, and they rented a property miles away and dug underground to his cell, and randomly one day he just like squeezed behind a wall to go take a piss and just disappeared. And then they were like, oh my God, how did they not hear that? Like directly under the prison floor, you just hear and like heavy machinery.
Calmly waiting for his helicopter ride is Redouane Faïd. He's the country's most infamous criminal. He's also a best-selling author, a movie buff and adrenaline junkie, and to many in France's immigrant suburbs, he's also a legend. But to understand all this, we need to go back to the beginning. 1978, a suburb near Paris. This is 6-year-old Redouane. He's still in kindergarten, browsing through a newly opened store with his brother, who's 2 years older than him. There's not a single thing in this shop the two could afford. Their parents are Algerian immigrants. The father works in a factory, the mother cleans houses. At home, the boys shared a cramped 3-room apartment with 9 other siblings. The social housing block is surrounded by...
Bro, this reminds me of my friend that said he stole M&Ms from a Wawa to feel the adrenaline rush. I've told y'all that like 5 times, though. And I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here, man. Yeah, it's like $1. We were at Wawa one day. He was like, will you buy me these? I was like, no. And then we leave, and we get back to my friend's house. We're all eating, and I see him eating M&Ms. And I'm like, did you end up buying them? He's like, no, I stole them. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You didn't have $1? And he's like, I just didn't want to pay for them. I'm like, you're an asshole, dude.
Redouane and his brother do not fit the mold. And the store detective makes sure they know it. He calls them petite merguez, a racial slur for Algerian immigrants. But other than that, he doesn't really pay attention to them. Out in the parking lot, the brothers divide up their haul. It's Redouane's first theft ever.
When they were 9? Damn, dude. What do you think the average person that like commits a robbery steals for the first time? Like what age? Probably way later, dude. I feel like 9-year-olds, like 8 and 9-year-olds probably aren't stealing that much.
A couple of weeks later, he gets caught. His parents are furious, and his father whips him 20 times with a belt.
Oh my God.
His mother makes him promise he will never steal again. Around this time, Redouane discovers the world of film, especially French crime thrillers and American gangster movies. He watches them on repeat, memorizes entire scenes, and acts them out at home for his family. By his teens, stealing isn't just survival anymore, it's a way of life. He and his friends swipe TVs, stereos, VCRs, car radios, and computers. They use the money to buy Adidas sneakers and flashy tracksuits. But more than anything, they go to the movies. Again and again. Then, at 18 years old, Redouane commits his first bank robbery. He walks in armed, holds the bank employee at gunpoint, and threatens her with a line straight from the French crime film, Marine. "Shut up. Do what I tell you. I've got nothing against you. I only want the money. Think of your children." After the robbery, he simply goes back to school and studies for his high school exams. There's no one to scold him anymore at home.
Robbing a bank in high school, bro. God damn. Why do people do this? They want money. I don't know. I think robbing a bank is the most wholesome way of robbery. Robbing a, like, family-run store is worse than robbing a bank morally, because the bank as a conglomerate eats that fee, and anybody's money that would be stolen is FDIC insured at that bank. So it's eaten by a very big, wealthy business rather than like you robbing your local liquor store or like an actual person, right? When you're taking money from a bank, it's like, it's still fucked, but it's like less fucked up.
Is
this a true story? Yes.
Father has moved back to Algeria, and his mother is dying of leukemia.
A sperm bank? It's your first bank robbery? Put the money in the bag! Wait. Where am I? You're just sitting. All right, at least give me... Okay, I'm already here. Give me some of the sperm jars. I'll figure something out.
He'll later write in his autobiography that, from that moment on, he stopped caring. Redouane Faïd's crimes are getting bigger, and they seem to be directly inspired by American action films. During a heist, he and his crew end up taking a bank director and his family hostage. They are wearing rubber masks with the faces of famous politicians, just like Patrick Swayze in Point Break. Redouane even delivers a line from the movie when they leave the scene.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and please don't forget to vote!
In another hostage situation 2 years later, Faïd and his men show up in sharp black suits in homage to Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs.
That's wild they're reenacting these movies. I feel like that would also lead them to get caught at some point because the police would know that they're into these films.
Even adopt the thing with the color-coded aliases.
Mr. White, Mr. Blonde, Mr. Blue, Mr. Orange, Mr. Pink.
But this time the job goes sideways and they have to flee from the cops, just like in the movie. However, all these spectacular crimes still don't seem enough for Faïd. One of his all-time favorite gangster films is Michael Mann's Heat, and after watching it over and over again, he sets himself a new goal: the holy grail of robbery, armored trucks. An industrial area on
What in a bank? I feel like I've said this before, and I'm always wrong. I always thought a bank had more money than an armored truck. Most armored trucks carry around $2 million? No. Based on insurance, they're not allowed to carry maximum money because of the liability. A standard Brink armored truck can carry between $4 and $6 million on board. I feel like they gotta have less than that.
On the outskirts of Paris, Faïd is behind.
It's a sperm armored truck. It's the same guy. He's like, all right, we're gonna do an armored truck job here. Breaks in, it's just a bunch of fucking jars full of cum. He's like, shit! Oh, they have Shaq. Wait.
He spots his target, a 6-ton armored truck with 3 armed guards inside, and slams his car straight into it. Within seconds, 2 more cars appear, blocking the truck from the front and back. 5 men in hockey masks jump out, AK-47s in hand, just like in the movie Heat. They surround the truck, moving fast. One of them slaps an explosive-looking package onto the windshield. The guards step out and surrender. Faïd and his crew start emptying the truck, but there's a problem. It's simply too much cash. Moving the money out takes way too long. After just 3 minutes, police are on the scene. Gunfire erupts. Faid takes a bullet to the shoulder. He does manage to escape with his crew, but he has lost blood on the crime scene.
Ooh.
Now the police have his DNA and start to investigate his identity. And if they catch him, he's looking at 15 years behind bars. Stefan Bai and his 2 captors land for a second.
It's always so skewed though in like crime shows and shit. Now I know I've been watching Dexter, as you know, and they do it well because they try to read the fingerprints as if they're on the system. But certain like crime movies and shows act as if there's fingerprints or blood, you just get the guy. Like the United States just has a bank of all of your genetic information just ready and like at hand, but they don't, right? What it means, if they get your fingerprints or blood at a crime scene, if you have been arrested previously, or they can match certain blood tests if you're a suspect, or they have your fingerprints if you're a suspect, or you've been, like say your fingerprints are on a gun and you've been arrested for some petty shit years ago and you've been printed, then they know, right? They just match it. But if you've just had a clean, like this guy, he didn't get immediately caught probably because he has a clean slate.
In time, the hijackers have 2 more men waiting on the ground. They haul large black duffel bags into the helicopter. One of them climbs in, all dressed in black, hood pulled over his head. Stefan is held at gunpoint the entire time. Now he's ordered to take off again. He flips the ignition switches and presses the starter, but nothing happens. The kidnappers think he's trying to outsmart them and start freaking out. They beat and threaten him. If he doesn't do as they say, his family dies. Stefan manages to convince them that he really needs to step out to check the wiring. Finally, the engine roars back to life. They take off again. The hijackers are well prepared. The duffel bags are packed with tear gas, smoke grenades, masks, AK-47s, and an angle grinder. And so the heli thunders towards the high-security prison, where Redouane Faid is sitting calmly in visiting room 50, chatting away with his older brother. Hands down, this
Is his older brother in on it?
really is the kind of stuff you'd expect in a Hollywood blockbuster. But
This is an ad. I knew it.
20 years earlier, the Movenpick Hotel in Basel. An employee enters a room to prepare it for the next guest. She has no idea she is not alone. Redouane Faid has been hiding there for over 3 hours. Outside, the police are searching for him across the entire city. A few hours earlier, Faid was arrested on a train heading from Germany to France. German federal police took him into custody. He had been hiding abroad for months. But when the officers escort him off the train, he manages to break free. He runs straight across the tracks to shake the cops. A train roars in and blocks the officers from following. He jumps several meters down and twists his ankle, so now he's limping. Somehow he makes it to the back entrance of the Movenpick Hotel and sneaks inside. He finds several open doors, since the cleaning staff are still working. He needs to get out of here somehow.
What if the cleaning lady looks under the bed for trash? You know how fucking scary that would be? She just goes, oh, it looks like there's something under there. And it's just some fucking dude.
He thinks about calling a contact in Strasbourg, but he doesn't have a phone. So what now? There's a payphone right outside the hotel, but he also doesn't have any coins. He calmly approaches the receptionist to ask if she can give him some change for a bill. She places the coins in front of him, which leads to another problem. His hands are still cuffed. What if she notices and calls the police? Faid keeps it cool, acts like he's casually reading a promo poster behind the desk. The moment the receptionist turns away, he quickly scoops up the coins. The first call fails, and he disappears onto the hotel rooftop to hide for a couple of hours. He tries again, turns around, and finds himself surrounded by 20 police officers.
That fast? How do they track his location like that?
The next
Unless they had like an eyewitness say he was there.
day, Faid is at the hospital with 2 officers to have his ankle checked. He seems to be in serious pain, but that's just an act. In a fraction of a second, he drops his crutches and snatches a gun from one of the officers. He trained in Krav Maga during his time in Israel, a super efficient military combat technique designed for fast defense and brutal.
Yeah, bro, but taking a gun from a cop's like the double down of the century. There's like that's like a no turn back moment.
Before the second officer can react, Faid drives his elbow into his face, The officer drops, and Faid takes his gun too.
Oh my god, is he gonna shoot
Then
him?
he runs as fast as he can for the second time in 24 hours. You would think a guy like that would be watched extra closely in jail. At 11:18 a.m., this prison guard hears a strange noise. A low hum or buzzing sound coming from outside. To her, it sounds like a leaf blower. Weird, she thinks. The gardeners are not supposed to work on Sundays. Well, it's not a leaf blower,
It's a fucking escape helicopter!
but the facility is prepared for this. This sentinel receives an urgent order over the radio: unseal. The same thing happens on other watchtowers. Each one is equipped with a special case. The guard has to break the seal to open it. Inside is an HK G36 assault rifle. He grabs it and takes aim. The helicopter just keeps descending. The prison yards are covered with anti-helicopter netting. Flying in here would be a suicide mission.
So then how are they gonna land it? But lucky for the guys in the helicopter, one of them brought a chainsaw and he's gonna be cutting the ropes away.
But this is not a random helicopter. It's a 60-year-old vintage model, just small enough to slip through this unsecured gap in the last one of the prison yards. Also, this is not a regular landing. In fact, they're not touching down at all. Redouane Faid must have known somehow that prison guards are not allowed to shoot at a flying helicopter. There's a proper protocol for this. And maybe he also knew that Stéphane Baye
Wait, so if they just hover in the air like a foot off the ground, they can't shoot him?
Investigators will later discover that Faid had been writing letters to Stéphane's stepdaughter for 2 entire years. And this friendship was not Faid's only connection to the outside world, because at this point, Redouane Faid was already a star. October 2010, 12 years after his escape in Basel, 8 years before his helicopter prison break, Redouane Faid sits in a French talk show.
Gangster, braqueur.
Wait, after his fucking escape? Was this like after he served time?
Gangster, braqueur, voyou, voleur, appelez ça comme vous voulez, il revendique à peu près tous ces mots-là. Bonjour Redouane Faid.
Bonjour.
Les banques, vous en avez braqué combien en tout?
Alors, officiellement, j'en ai braqué qu'une, puisque j'ai été condamné que pour une banque. On m'a soupçonné d'en avoir braqué une trentaine, mais bon, ça, c'est que des dires et des racontards.
He's a welcome guest
But you know that's just gossip because he can't say he fucking robbed 30 banks.
at the time. Redouane Faid has written a book about his cinematic crimes, so now he's making the rounds on French TV to promote it.
C'est terrible de dire ça, mais le cinéma a été pour moi un mode d'emploi pour braquer.
Et on voyait
Movies were a how-to guide. I feel like movies are so unrealistic on robberies, though. Maybe that's modern movies. Old films, probably more than today.
ça un petit peu, l'attaque de fourgon blindé en ligne de mire. Pourquoi? Parce que quand tu attaques un fourgon blindé, c'est le top des tops.
The caption on screen reads, former gangster. Well, not so long ago, he was anything but. In late 1998, 3 months after his escape in Basel, Faid was caught and sentenced to 18 years in jail for armed robbery. He was granted parole for good behavior after just under 9 years. Now he presents himself as a changed man, as someone who has learned his lesson.
La vie de bandit, c'est que de la vie de merde, vous savez, vous faites souffrir
But
tout le
then how
monde.
did he get arrested again?
Quand vous allez en prison, c'est une sanction carrément qui est collective, parce que votre famille, votre femme, vos enfants, vos frères, vos sœurs, vos parents, tout le monde paye.
He got married. His brother has landed him an office job. He appears to be taking it easy now. At one point, he attends a film event where Michael Mann is physically present, the director of Heat, the very film that inspired his biggest heist.
Moi, personnellement, je suis un ancien gangster. Malheureusement, je ne m'en vante pas. Je viens de faire une dizaine d'années de prison. J'ai attaqué des fourgons blindés, des bijouteries, des banques, monsieur Toubiana, je pense. Et je leur ai répondu que non. J'avais un conseiller technique, un prof de fac, une sorte de mentor. Et il s'appelle Michael Mann. Alors, ma question, en fait, elle est simple. C'est est-ce qu'il a conscience qu'il y ait des gangsters qui puissent s'inspirer de son cinéma? Parce que moi, ça m'est arrivé.
Faid addresses Mann directly. Michael Mann looks amused, but also a bit uncomfortable. He doesn't
Well, yeah, because you're like, hey, man, your movie convinced me to rob people.
know what to say.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that. I don't know how to respond.
I don't know how to respond.
That's all he says?
In another talk show stint, Faid is asked if he thinks he could ever relapse.
Ah non, bah, moi mes démons, vous savez, ils sont morts, ils sont pas endormis.
That's a bold-faced lie, because at this point, he's already back to committing crimes. And not just petty theft, but a crime so shocking it will shake the entire country. May
What does
20th,
he like kill a government fucking politician or some shit?
2010, Créteil, a suburb southeast of downtown Paris. Two officers are on routine patrol, Thierry M. and his partner Aurélie Fouquet. Fouquet is 26 years old. She became a mother just a year ago. For them, it's just another day on the job. But then they get a call from the National Police. They're told to head to the A4 highway exit. Some criminals are on the run in a white van. They pull up at an intersection with flashing lights and blaring sirens. They have no idea what they're about to get into. These men had a plan to rob an armored cash truck carrying 16 million euros. But 30 minutes ago, a routine traffic stop turned their
But why is he still doing this shit? This is actually like straight out of fucking like Ocean's 11 or something. Like he has to have enough money. If he successfully robbed 30 banks and now he's written a fucking good selling book.
Now they've crashed and need a new getaway car. But at that exact moment, the two patrol officers arrive.
People are greedy. I don't even feel like it's for the money anymore for him. I feel like it's just the enjoyment and thrill of being able to pull it off.
The gang doesn't hesitate to open fire. The windshield of the patrol car alone is pierced by 16 bullets. Fouquet is hit multiple times. The gunmen flee. Fouquet is rushed to the hospital. And by the end of the day, she is dead.
Wow.
The murder of Aurélie Fouquet sends shockwaves throughout the entire country. At her funeral, thousands of police officers stand in mourning. Among them is French President Nicolas.
And then people won't fuck with him too because he killed somebody. Like people don't. It doesn't matter if like you scare people or some shit when you're robbing a bank. It's like different when you murder someone.
Sarkozy. He posthumously awards her a Medal of Honor and delivers a promise. He will do everything it takes to find out who did it.
Les meurtriers d'Aurélie Fouquet, je le dis devant son cercueil, seront punis avec la sévérité qu'exige l'ignominie de leur crime.
Redouane Faïd feels safe. So safe he keeps telling his gangster stories on camera. Here he is in a documentary. The film recounts how Fouquet was gunned down, and then Redouane Faïd appears, not as a suspect, not as a fugitive, but as an expert on this kind of heist. At the time...
Wow, they're using him as like a fucking representative for the crime he committed. They're like looking at him and going, hey, who do you think did it?
The filmmakers had no idea that the man sitting in front of them had a part in the killing.
Wow!
Aurélie Fouquet.
That's wild. How did they end up finding out? They had to have found like blood or some sort of fucking fragment.
Failed attack on the armored cash truck has
to like put it on him.
Faïd's signature all over it. But he has an airtight alibi, and he swears he was not involved. But investigators keep digging and eventually find compelling surveillance footage. A security camera has caught Faïd inside the white van used by the criminals. Faïd was not on the scene when the shots were fired, but police gather enough evidence to pin him down as the mastermind behind the operation. After 1 year on the run, Faïd is captured. Again, and he goes straight back to prison. Whether you're invited to a talk show or heading out on a date, there are moments when you want to look your best. Two inmates are taking out the trash, accompanied by a prison guard. Suddenly, they see a helicopter in the courtyard next to them. They wonder if it could be firefighters. The unarmed warden bolts into a nearby office, hiding behind bulletproof glass. Meanwhile, the two prisoners are about to witness Redouane Faïd's spectacular prison escape up close. One of the three men stays with Stefan.
They had to have found him like a day later, dude.
The pilot, and continues to press a gun to his head. The other two jump out. They are masked and wearing bulletproof vests beneath their clothes. Each of them carries an AK-47. They've just landed in the honored courtyard. Prisoners do not have access here. It's only used when inmates enter or leave the facility. That's why nobody thought anti-helicopter cables were needed here. The man in green runs towards a reinforced white door. He carries an angle grinder with a 14-inch 35cm blade. His partner sets off 3 smoke grenades, releasing thick white smoke. The helicopter's spinning blades churn it into a roaring chaos, until the entire courtyard is engulfed, a complete whiteout. The sound of the cutting angle screeches through the entire prison. Faïd knows what that means. It's time. By now it's clear to everyone that nobody here is blowing leaves. The blade of the grinder slices through the lock.
Aren't they just gonna fucking shoot him the second they fucking get into the store? Like, there has to be prison guard. If this is a high max security prison, there has to be prison guards just waiting for them to get through this door with a fucking gun. He is an AK, yeah, but they're gonna be they're in a defensive position. They have to open the door. You've played video games like this before. Being the guy that has the angle cutter is the worst fucking position you could be in. It's Europe, yeah, but prisons still have guns.
Locking doors. Clean, precise. 40 seconds is all it takes. The man in green can just push the door open and step inside. The guards slowly realize what's happening, but they're not carrying
And they're not.
firearms and are unable to interfere.
What? They don't have guns?
One of them sticks to protocol and calls the civil aviation
Even in this scenario, like when they know which shit's going down, they don't got like a gun locker
authority. They don't
or like any weapon.
understand what's happening. Another calls the standard line for police emergencies and gets put on hold. A third contacts the local police, but the officer on the other end thinks it's a prank. The sentinels on the floor watch.
You aren't allowed guns in prison? That's not true. These guys have guns. Oh, they're outside of the jail though. I don't know.
Towers are the only ones carrying firearms, but
Oh, fuck. They're the only guys with guns? Yeah, they're cooked, bro. So what do the guards do? I'm not trying to sound like a dumbass. What do the guards do? Like carry around like a stick? Like a police baton?
but they can't see the
and like a taser or something?
helicopter because their view is blocked by other buildings. And they're not allowed to fire at a flying aircraft anyway. Total, utter chaos. By now, Fayid's brother knows exactly what's going on.
So they're just sitting there they literally can't shoot. They have to just sit there and wait.
He's furious. He thought his brother was ready to change. And now this, another escape.
Wow, the brother actually doesn't know. And they're sitting there arguing in the visitation room like, bro, are you fucking kidding me?
Fayid's accomplice has already cut his way through several locks. And now he has reached the door to visiting room 50, where Redouane Fayid is waiting. The angle grinder slices through the metal. The door is open. Fayid has been waiting for this. He storms out and rushes down a long corridor, followed by the man in green. His brother is left behind, frozen and stunned. At 11:28 a.m., Redouane Fayid steps into the prison courtyard. 10 minutes.
That also sucks because they're gonna try and pin it on the brother too. They're gonna try and say the brother had some sort of doing with it.
He sees the two inmates that have taken out the trash, brings his right hand to his temple, and gives them an Air Force salute. Then he climbs into the helicopter. Dozens of inmates stand pressed against the bars of their cells to watch. As the helicopter lifts off, the entire prison erupts into applause. It's almost like a movie
scene. Oh my
scene.
God, they start cheering for him. Isn't it in certain Nordic countries not illegal to escape prison because humans have the natural, like, instinct to try and run? Something like that. Germany has that? Yeah, like certain countries in Europe, you don't get any extra like, if you kill somebody while you're escaping, that's different. But, like, if you just try and run from prison, like, you're not in trouble.
A French gangster who broke out of jail by hijacking a helicopter.
A notorious gangster is on the run again.
Criminal who is a big movie fan.
It's never illegal to escape prison. That's just not true. If you're in the U.S. and you try to escape prison, you're getting a way higher sentence. A defendant who escapes from custody when in custody because of felony charges is fined and sentenced up to another 5 years of imprisonment. If they utilize force 6 in California.
He has broken out of prison twice now.
And you can just about make out the helicopter flying off into the distance.
Multiple armed men who hijacked a helicopter,
which picked up Redouane Fayid from within the prison grounds.
The news of Redouane Fayid's prison break spreads across the world. He was already famous, a TV figure, the center of a cult-like hype. But this is a whole new level. A well-known French actress writes on social media, "Bravo, Redouane Fayid. All of France is with you." The French police declare him the country's most wanted man. 3 months later, the authorities track him down, hiding in an apartment in his hometown, Cailly. He's been disguising himself under a burqa during public outings.
Like, why did he stay in the fucking city that he lives in, bro? What?
When he finally stands trial in 2020, authorities take extreme security measures, including a no-fly zone above the courthouse. The court cites a psychiatric assessment describing him as a social predator and gifted at manipulation. He uses his charm and intelligence to control others and get what he wants. Fayid himself says that for him, it was always about the adrenaline. He says he is addicted to it and calls himself a sick man. His Hollywood-style heists made headlines worldwide, but he also made his family suffer, traumatized hostages, and caused the death of a 26-year-old police officer. Fayed stood 2 separate trials, for his heists, his role in Aurélie Fouquet's death, and his 2 escapes from prison. He was sentenced to a total of 39 years in jail.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be there forever.
His lawyer says he's been held in solitary confinement since 2019. He is strip searched up to 5 times a day at random intervals.
Every day they fucking strip search him for the last 6 years? What the fuck would he get in that amount of time?
At least 4 guards escort him to each and every one of his phone calls.
Wow.
And even then, his hands have to remain in shackles. Fayed himself says he feels like he's been buried alive. His earliest possible release date is 2060. He would be 88 years old by then.
Wow. Yeah, he'll die in prison. You know it's a good day when Fern drops facts. Love Fern videos. All right, that was fucking interesting. Never heard of that before. All right.